Hey guys, so welcome back to your next class of catalyst concepts. In the previous lesson, we were looking at the first stage of our processing of metals. The first stage was concentration or dressing of the ore. So after that, the second stage that comes in is what we're going to be talking about today, right? And this stage is nothing but extraction of crude metal, okay, from the ore. So once you have the ore ready, then how do we get the metal out? Because there's still some chemically reacted, let's say, other elements that are present with the ore. We still need to separate them. So a lot of chemistry is going to be involved in this stage over. Now, in the previous class, we also spoke of something called the reactivity of metals, right? We said there are three different sections. You'll say highly reactive metals, moderately reactive, and low reactive. So, if I talk about highly, moderate, and low, we saw certain examples of something like sodium, aluminum, magnesium in the highly reactive. We saw iron, copper, zinc, couple of these in the medium reactive, and silver and gold and mercury are like low reactive metals. So depending on which type of metal you're trying to extract, your process is going to differ. Okay, so we'll start with the high reactive metals. So for these metals, you cannot use any method that can be used for the medium or low reactive metals. The reason being either the reaction will not happen, or even if it happens, it's going to be a very, very expensive reaction. To make it happen, you will need a lot of energy and a lot of effort. And like we say, it has to be a feasible method. Only then can we do it on an industry basis for wide scale production. So when it comes to these metals, what we do is we tend to extract them from what we call as molten state of salts. Okay. So generally we find salt like sodium chloride, for example, right? Sodium chloride is a salt of sodium chlorine and sodium is the active metal in it. So if I need to extract sodium from sodium chloride, I will be melting the sodium chloride, and from that molten state can I actually take out my sodium metal. Now how that happens is through a process called as electrolysis. Okay, you must have learned about this process before. So when we do electrolysis for a molten metal, it's different from how we do it for water. You heard of water electrolysis, you'll get like hydrogen, oxygen on this cathode anode. But when we talk about why we're taking just the melted salt is so that the water doesn't interfere with the outcome. So when NaCl is molted, you get your sodium ions and your chlorine ions. So at one end on the positive terminal, that is called the cathode, you'll have a reaction where sodium ion will meet one electron and it will create your sodium ion, your metal atoms. Okay, this is one part of your process. At the anode, you'll have chlorine giving out one electron from its extra electron. Since it's a negative, it has extra electrons which it gives out. These extra electrons will go all the way to the other end, meet the sodium atoms and create. So on your positive terminal, or sorry, your negative terminal, which is your cathode, you'll have all of the metal accumulating. Okay, and for this process, constantly you need to have that metal just melted. Okay, so you need to constantly provide heat or electricity to just keep it melted and produce your metal. This will this is the same method works for all of these high reactive metals. Right, now let's come to the middle reactive metals. So when it comes to these middle reactivity series, you generally have salts of either sulfide nature or oxide nature. Right, you get these ores of sulfide oxide, which are the most common ores that we find. So when it comes to these, generally the process is from the oxide, the metal can be extracted through a direct process. But if it's a sulfide, you need to first change it into an oxide. Okay, so let's take an example of something like a lead sulfide. Okay, so if I have lead sulfide, first I want to convert it into an oxide. I want to convert it into oxide, I need to oxidize the salt. So I can simply combine it with oxygen and then it will give me lead oxide plus sulfur dioxide. If I have to balance it, you can just balance it like so, 2, 3 oxygens. Okay, so the sulfide will get removed and changed to an oxide. Now this process is done in a lot of air. Okay, you need a lot of air for this process to happen, and this is called as roasting. Okay. So changing a sulfidose to oxidose is called as roasting method. Once you have these, you can go to the next method. All right. So what about the next method? So say that I have this, let's take this lead oxide only. Now I need to remove this oxygen simply, then I will be remaining with my lead metal, which is what I want ultimately, right? So we have learned about the process of oxidation, which is gaining oxygen. The opposite to gaining oxygen is losing oxygen, which is called as reduction. So we use something that will help the reduction happen, and that is generally something like carbon. Okay, carbon in its many forms. So if I use carbon like this, I will get lead plus carbon monoxide. Okay, the oxygen jumps. And generally this process happens at a lot of temperature. You need a lot of heat for this process to happen. So this is one way to reduce your ore into your metal. See, I got my lead. There is also another method that you can use, something like uh, carbon monoxide for example, right? This carbon monoxide itself can be also used. So say let's take another ore. Instead of lead oxide, let me take iron oxide. So if I have iron oxide and I use carbon monoxide, I should be left with iron plus carbon dioxide. 2Fe, 3CO2, 3, 3CO, something like this. Okay, 3 carbon monoxides. Right, so both carbon and carbon monoxide can act as reducing agents, what we call them. All right, now along with this, there is also another process called auto reduction or self reduction. So what happens is sometimes if you have a sulfide ore that you are reducing into an oxide, or say copper sulfide, Cu2S. Okay, and I am trying to add oxygen, and then I will get copper oxide plus sulfur dioxide. Now, when I'm partly done with this process, what I can do, generally, like this process happens with a lot of air. But at some point, if you cut off the air and you just limit the air supply, what is going to happen is this copper sulfide will react with the copper oxide. These two will react, and then you'll be left with copper metal, and you'll be left with your sulfur dioxide. This sulfur and this oxygen are going to meet, create sulfur dioxide gas, and leave your copper metal behind. So to balance it, double copper, six coppers, yeah, like this, and yes, 2, 3, 2, and right. So don't worry about the balancing much. You can get it done. You don't need to buy hard disk. Just understand the process. Okay, so this is called as auto reduction. You don't need to add coke or carbon monoxide. The reduction will happen on its own. Now, one more process that we can use for this is something called as the thermite process. Okay. So what is this thermite process? So generally when we speak of reactivity series, what happens is a highly reactive metal will always replace a metal that is less reactive than it. Okay, so for example, any oxide, when it meets with these metals, you'll be able to switch the positions of this. So for example, let me take something like iron oxide, okay, Fe2O3. Say that I add magnesium metal to it. Now what will happen if I add magnesium metal is, so not magnesium, aluminum. Let's take aluminum because this process has a name. If I take this, what I will be left with is this aluminum replaces the iron, creates something called Al2O3 plus, and you'll be remaining with your iron that is left out. Okay, 2 Fe, there is Fe2. So this process is called thermite process. Okay, and it's a highly reactive process wherein you use a higher activity metal to replace a lower activity metal, and the amount of heat that comes out of this reaction is so high that this iron that you get is actually melted iron. Even though you need not add like so much heat to the process, once you add your molten aluminum to it, it just reacts so violently that this process will create this heat enough for the iron to come out in a melted form. Okay, and sometimes we use this melted iron directly in a place, like for example, when they are repairing train tracks, if it's cracked, then they just do this process on top of it, and as a result the melted iron just like falls down, fills the crack and hardens, right? Okay, so now let's come to the final, that is low reactive series. Okay, so since these metals are not very reactive, they don't really form a lot of free compounds. Usually it's just an oxide or a sulfide, and it's very much simpler to purify these. So one method is to simply heat these compounds. For example, let's take an example of mercury, a sulfide of mercury. This is nothing but cinnabar, which is a ore of mercury. So if I have this, I simply need to heat it a bit in the presence of air. Example, in the air, the oxygen that is there, it's sufficient. You don't need a lot of air. When I do this, it will automatically get reduced, it will get oxidized into silver oxide, right? So if I have 2Hg, I have 2Hg. Oh. Now again, if I follow the same heating process, I'll simply get rid of this oxygen also. The oxygen also, when it takes a little more heat, is going to leave as oxygen gas, right? So this is one very simple process. Another way is what we call as replacing of ions in an aqueous solution, okay, or we call it displacement in aqueous solution. Aqueous solution is nothing but a solution in which you can create ions. Okay, so let's take an example of something like silver sulfide. Okay, it's called Ag2S. I can take any aqueous solution like KCN. It's nothing but potassium cyanide. It will have K plus ions and Cn minus ions. So what this will do is, first this cyanide ion is going to replace the sulfide. Okay, so when this meets your Cn minus ion, you will create something called AgCN twice. Okay, now you have a new ion, and the sulfur is just like leaves out as a separate ion. Okay, so if I have to balance this, I'll say 2 here and 4 cyanides here. Okay. Now, once this is done, in the next step, what you do is you need to replace this silver with a different metal. Just like in this process, we take a more reactive metal to take the place of less reactive metal. In this example, we can use zinc dust, which is basically just a purified form of zinc. So AgCN twice ions on reaction with zinc. will give me zinc cyanide. Cn twice plus my silver metal that comes out free. So if I have to balance this, I'll say 2 Ag, 1 zinc, 1 zinc, and again 2 Ag. I think that is Cn4 zinc as double. Alright, so these are just two methods to replace these. So that's it for today. This is all the extraction process that we have. If you have any questions, doubt, please drop them in the comments below, and I will see you guys in the next class. Thank you.